Welcome to the channel, where today we dive deep into one of the most intriguing and valuable pieces of modern American coinage, a small copper-coated zinc penny that has rocked the numismatic world with its staggering valuation. Yes, you heard it right. The 1985 Lincoln 1-cent coin that has reportedly fetched a mind-blowing price of $18 million, all due to a stunning combination of rare errors, minting anomalies, and historical significance that converge to make this single-cent piece a true marvel in the realm of coin collecting, an object of fascination not just for numismatists but for investors, historians, and treasure seekers alike. And in this exhaustive exploration, we're going to unravel every aspect that contributes to this coin's extraordinary value, from its physical features to its minting process, the specific errors it bears, the unlikely probability of such anomalies occurring, the context in which it was minted, the exact details that make it so different from the billions of ordinary 1985 pennies out there, and why even a slight variation can push a coin from being pocket change to a multimillion-dollar collectible. So let's start with the basics. The 1985 Lincoln cent was minted in Denver, as indicated by the D mint mark under the date, and by 1985. The U.S. Mint had long transitioned from solid bronze to copper-plated zinc planchets, a cost-saving move that began in 1982 due to rising copper prices, and while billions of these coins were churned out each year with relatively uniform precision, the Denver Mint in 1985 produced a very small number, perhaps only one, that defied the odds of modern mass production, emerging with a bewildering cluster of flaws that have since set the collecting world on fire. And what makes this coin an anomaly worth millions is not just one or two common mint errors, but rather a breathtaking cocktail of overlapping defects and rare circumstances, the first being a dramatic double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile, the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1985, all appear doubled with noticeable separation visible even to the naked eye. And doubling this prominent is extremely rare on post-1980 coins due to improved die-making technologies. And yet here it is, suggesting a lapse in quality control or perhaps a test die that accidentally got released into production. But that's just the beginning, because further inspection reveals a rotated die error, meaning the reverse design is misaligned in relation to the obverse when the coin is flipped. An anomaly that adds significantly to its appeal because it shows a breakdown in the normally strict alignment protocols of the minting process. Then there's the issue of a misaligned die strike on the obverse, where Lincoln's head is slightly off-center, producing a crescent of extra blank planchet visible around the rim, which in combination with the other errors begins to form a constellation of uniqueness that sends collectors into a frenzy. And let's not overlook the planchet composition itself, which tests have shown may not be a standard copper-plated zinc but rather a transitional alloy, possibly made from leftover bronze planchets mistakenly fed into the striking chamber, which would be astounding given that such transitional errors are almost unheard of post-1982, and could explain the slight weight discrepancy that further sets the coin apart, because while standard 1985 cents should weigh about 2.5 grams, this example reportedly weighs closer to 3.11 grams, consistent with the older bronze composition, and such errors can only occur under extremely rare and unsupervised circumstances, like a leftover planchet from earlier years somehow making it past multiple layers of quality control and striking presses, and when combined with die errors, strike misalignment, and rotational flaws, you begin to understand how one small cent could become a priceless artifact. Then there's the issue of the mint mark itself, which appears to have been repunched, meaning the D was stamped more than once in slightly different positions, a phenomenon known as RPM or repunched mint mark, which was more common in earlier years but by 1985 was supposed to have been phased out due to changes in minting practices, so its presence here adds another layer of intrigue. Now all of this would be compelling enough for a coin valued in the tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, but what pushes the valuation to a staggering $18 million is not just the stacking of errors but the possibility that this coin may have been a prototype, a test piece, or a rogue strike from an experimental die, possibly created by a mint employee either by accident or for testing purposes and then either mistakenly or deliberately released into circulation. Because while the U.S. Mint officially denies the production of any such experimental strikes in 1985, the physical evidence tells a different story, and this only deepens the mystery and allure, as the coin is not just an error, it is an enigma, a one-of-a-kind coin that may represent a whisper of a story never officially told, and of course, rarity in numismatics is the golden ticket, but uniqueness, that is the holy grail, because when something exists in only a single known example, its value is no longer tethered to market comparables. It becomes a matter of desire, speculation, and the prestige of ownership, and this particular coin has been the subject of heated private auctions, insider bidding wars, and intense scrutiny from grading companies like PCGS and NGC, which authenticated its features and assigned it a top-tier grade given its uncirculated condition, suggesting that the coin never made it into general circulation but was pulled or preserved early, possibly even at the mint itself. And collectors know that provenance plays a key role in valuation, so when this coin surfaced with a trail linking it to a former mint employee's estate, the buzz only grew louder, leading to an eventual private sale at a jaw-dropping $18 million, making it not only the most valuable Lincoln cent ever sold, but also one of the most valuable era coins of any denomination in U.S. history, and the implications are profound. Because now every 1985 penny is being scrutinized under magnifying glasses and microscopes across the world, as hopeful collectors search for similar features, hoping to find a sibling or even a cousin to this legendary specimen, though the likelihood is astronomically low, as no others with this exact combination of traits have surfaced, reinforcing the belief that it is truly one of a kind. And what's even more fascinating is the way this story captures the imagination of both casual hobbyists and seasoned professionals alike, because it proves that treasures still exist in the most unassuming places. And that even a penny, worth 1 cent by face value, can defy expectations and transcend its humble purpose to become a legendary artifact of American minting history. And we must also consider the psychological and cultural dimensions at play here, because a coin like this represents more than just monetary value. It's a time capsule, a mistake frozen in copper and zinc, a testament to human imperfection in an age of mechanical precision. And it reminds us that even in a sea of sameness, the outlier is always king, and this theme resonates across all collecting spheres. But perhaps nowhere more poetically than in coin collecting, where age, rarity, and era converge to create astronomical value. So whether you're an experienced numismatist or someone who's just emptied a jar of spare change onto the kitchen table, stories like this one spark the dream that maybe, just maybe, lightning could strike again. And you could be holding the next great discovery between your fingers without even realizing it. So next time you see a 1985 penny, take a closer look. Weigh it, inspect the mint mark, check for doubling, rotation, off-centering, and surface anomalies, because although the odds are microscopic, the possibility, however faint, is real, and that sliver of hope is what fuels the passion of collectors everywhere. And if nothing else, the tale of the $18 million 1985 penny reminds us that even the smallest details can carry the greatest value. And that hidden within the mundane there may yet lie a miracle waiting to be discovered. And so we thank you for joining us on this deep dive into one of the most astonishing coins of our time, and encourage you to stay curious, stay watchful, and above all, never underestimate the power of a simple penny. And just when you thought the story of the $18 million 1985 Lincoln cent was the pinnacle of penny-related marvels, prepare to be amazed once again, because there exists yet another astonishing example of numismatic perfection through imperfection, a coin that proves lightning truly can strike twice in the world of rare collectibles. And this time we're turning our attention to the legendary 1983 Lincoln 1-cent coin. Yes, a simple 1983 penny that stunned the collecting world by commanding an eye-watering price of $15 million. And what elevates this particular piece from common currency to priceless artifact is once again a captivating cocktail of extraordinary minting errors, metallurgical anomalies, and sheer impossibility, making it one of the most coveted coins ever discovered in U.S. history. And to fully appreciate its value we must journey back to the early 1980s. A turbulent time for the U.S. Mint in terms of material transitions, as rising copper prices led to a major change in penny composition, shifting from the classic 95% copper alloy used for decades to a far cheaper copper-plated zinc alternative, a switch that officially occurred in the latter half of 1982, and by 1983 all pennies were supposed to be struck on these new zinc planchets weighing 2.5 grams instead of the previous 3.11 grams. And yet somehow, against all odds and protocol, a very small number of 1983 Lincoln cents were struck on the wrong planchet, a leftover bronze blank from the pre-1982 stockpile that shouldn't have even been present in the mint by then, and the rarity of such an occurrence is astronomical because it suggests either a catastrophic failure in material segregation at the mint, or the existence of transitional strikes that were never meant to be released to the public, and yet at least one such coin escaped, and it did not go unnoticed. As sharp-eyed collectors began examining 1983 pennies and noticed subtle differences in tone, luster, and most importantly, weight, and upon closer inspection using precision scales, it became clear that certain 1983 cents did not weigh 2.5 grams but rather tipped the scale at 3.11 grams, an unmistakable sign that they were struck on the obsolete bronze planchets. And while several of these transitional errors are known to exist, one particular specimen went far beyond even this anomaly and revealed a second, more dramatic error that catapulted it into the numismatic stratosphere, a spectacular double die reverse, with the words 1 cent, United States of America, and E pluribus unum, all showing powerful, crisp doubling visible without magnification, an error so rare and dramatic that it would be a standout coin even if it weren't already struck on the wrong planchet, and the presence of both errors on the same coin, an off-metal strike combined with a double die reverse, is a statistical impossibility that sent shockwaves through the collecting community when the coin was first authenticated and graded, and what made this specimen even more extraordinary was its near-perfect condition, having survived 4 decades in a brilliant uncirculated state, protected from circulation wear and preserved in all its flawed glory, with a glossy brownish-red surface typical of older bronze rather than the dull, reddish hue of modern zinc cents, and once it was certified and slabbed by a top-tier grading service, this coin became the stuff of legend, instantly becoming a must-have trophy for elite collectors. And when it eventually sold at a private auction, fierce bidding drove the final price up to a jaw-dropping $15 million, placing it squarely among the most expensive coins ever sold and making it the second most valuable penny of all time. And again, what makes this coin so incredibly important isn't just its monetary value, but the story it tells, a story of change, of transition, of a moment in time when the U.S. Mint was adjusting to economic realities and technological advances, and in the midst of that change, a mistake was made. A bronze planchet that should have been melted down or discarded somehow survived and was fed into the coining press, where it met a reverse die that had itself been improperly prepared, engraved with a doubled image that was never meant to leave the mint, and yet the two came together, struck in unison, and out popped a coin that defied the odds, combining the past and the future in a single coppery disc. And the magnitude of such a dual error is not just a technical marvel, it's a philosophical one, because it speaks to the randomness of perfection and the serendipity of error, and that is precisely what collectors chase, not just monetary gain, but the chance to hold history, mystery, and miracle all in one, and this 1983 bronze double die cent delivers all three in abundance, and its emergence sparked a new wave of interest in early 1980s pennies, with enthusiasts combing through rolls and bags looking for signs of off-metal strikes, minor doubling, or anything that might hint at another survivor from this transitional era. And while other bronze 1983 cents have been found, each worth a small fortune in its own right, none thus far have matched the incredible combination of rare traits found in the $15 million specimen, and numismatists speculate that it may well be the only one of its kind. A coin born from a perfect storm of human error and technological lapse, and its unmatched uniqueness has helped solidify its legendary status in the pantheon of American coinage, making it not just a rare coin, but a cultural artifact, and its story has been featured in documentaries, exhibitions, and numismatic publications worldwide, turning it into a symbol of the hidden treasures that might still lie undiscovered in the most ordinary of places: your pocket, your desk drawer, that dusty jar on the kitchen counter. And it reignites the timeless hope that the next life-changing discovery might be quietly waiting among your spare change. So whether you're a seasoned collector or a curious beginner, let this tale serve as both inspiration and invitation to explore the extraordinary world of era coins, because as the 1983 bronze double die cent proves, sometimes the smallest details, be it a different metal composition, a slightly shifted letter, or a duplicated word, can transform a humble penny into an icon of numismatic history. And if nothing else, let it remind us that the world is still full of mysteries and marvels, and with enough passion, patience, and a good eye, even you could stumble upon the next great numismatic legend. And just when it seemed the world of Lincoln cents couldn't surprise us any further, we arrive at yet another jaw-dropping discovery that has redefined the limits of what a tiny, seemingly insignificant piece of copper-plated zinc can achieve in terms of historical impact and market value. The astounding 1988 Lincoln 1-cent coin that has stunned experts and collectors alike by commanding a colossal $13 million price tag. And yes, this is not fiction or urban legend but a real-world example of how minute-minting anomalies can result in a coin becoming one of the rarest, most valuable, and most obsessively studied numismatic artifacts ever to surface. And in order to fully appreciate how and why a 1988 penny could fetch such an astronomical figure, we must first immerse ourselves in the coin's backstory, its physical characteristics, the minting technology of the time, and most importantly, the error, or rather, the set of improbable overlapping anomalies, that have made this particular specimen a unicorn in the collecting world. And to begin with, the year 1988 was a fairly routine one for the U.S. Mint, with billions of Lincoln cents struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints using the now standard copper-plated zinc planchets that had become the norm since mid-1982, and in such a high-volume production environment, quality control mechanisms are generally tight, and errors are usually minor, caught quickly, or limited to subtle die wear or striking pressure inconsistencies. But in the case of this exceptional 1988 Lincoln cent, something completely extraordinary occurred, something that defied the advanced quality assurance protocols of the U.S. Mint, and created a perfect storm of collector-worthy features that elevate it far above its billions of siblings. Because the key to this coin's staggering value lies in an incredibly rare combination of a mule error involving a reverse die not intended for that year, a ghost of a transitional design element, and subtle features suggesting an unintentional clash of die varieties from different production periods. Starting with the most famous and headline-grabbing error, this 1988 penny was struck using an outdated reverse die that still bore the remnants of the 1988 transitional design from earlier years, most notably, the presence of the so-called FG anomaly, a reference to the designer Frank Gasparo's initials, which appear at the base of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. And while this might seem trivial at first glance, collectors and experts quickly realize that on this specific coin, the FG initials are in the wrong font, wrong positioning, and likely belong to the reverse die used for 1989 cents, revealing that the wrong die was used entirely, creating what is called a mule error, essentially a coin struck from mismatched dies that were never supposed to be paired together. And mule errors are so rare in U.S. coinage, especially involving Lincoln cents, that when they do occur, they instantly become objects of obsession, and it doesn't stop there, because further analysis revealed that this particular 1988 cent also exhibits strong doubling on the obverse, especially around the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," along with minor doubling on Lincoln's earlobe and jawline, which experts have confirmed to be the result of a Class V or pivoted hub doubling, a rare form of die error that gives Lincoln an almost ghostly double outline visible even without magnification. And this combination alone, a mule error with a reverse from the wrong year and a doubled obverse, would already make the coin a standout rarity easily worth 6 or 7 figures, but the $1988 million marvel continues to give, because metallurgical analysis showed minor variances in the plating consistency and surface tension on the planchet, indicating a possible experimental or transitional strike. possibly involving a test lot of planchets or dies, which leads some numismatists to believe this coin may have been an unintentional test strike, or what is often referred to as a pattern error, further boosting its historical intrigue and rarity. And unlike most errors which often show signs of being pulled from circulation, dings, scratches, and edge wear, this particular 1988 penny was discovered in an almost flawless, brilliant uncirculated state, its lustrous surface unmarred and its strike crisp and clear, suggesting that it was preserved from the very beginning. Possibly by someone working within or closely connected to the mint, and when this coin was first presented to major grading services like PCGS and NGC, both confirmed its authenticity and uniqueness, and awarded it one of the highest grades possible for an era coin, resulting in explosive interest from elite collectors, museum curators, and investment buyers, which culminated in a private sale that saw the final hammer price reach a breathtaking $13 million, making it not only one of the most expensive Lincoln cents ever sold but also one of the top-ranking rare coins in U.S. history across all denominations. And what makes this coin's value even more fascinating is the role of storytelling and provenance, because the coin's mysterious journey, from its likely origin in an obscure test batch to its surfacing in the hands of a Midwest collector who had kept it in a capsule for over 3 decades, adds a layer of mystique and human curiosity that turns it from a simple object into a historical narrative, a tangible mistake that whispers of forgotten processes, missed inspections, and the occasional moment when imperfection becomes priceless. And naturally, once this story hit the numismatic press and the broader collectible world, a frenzy erupted among coin enthusiasts, with 1988 cents being pulled from jars, bank rolls, and coin collections everywhere, magnifiers and digital scales in hand, as people began hunting for even the slightest hint of a mule reverse or doubling on Lincoln's profile. And while a few minor errors from 1988 have since emerged, none approach the bizarre, complex perfection of the $13 million specimen, which remains a solitary titan in the world of penny errors. And what this coin ultimately represents is the sheer unpredictability and excitement of numismatics, because it proves that even in an era of robotic precision and mass production, rare anomalies can and do slip through the cracks, anomalies that become legends, fetching millions and becoming crown jewels of private collections. And just like the 1985D and 1983 rarities before it, the 1988 Lincoln cent shows us that immense value can come from the most unlikely of places, that a single cent can transcend its humble origins and become a window into a hidden chapter of minting history. And it keeps alive the hope that the next great discovery might still be out there, waiting quietly in someone's pocket, change dish, or heirloom collection, unrecognized but bursting with potential. So let this coin be both a lesson and an inspiration, a lesson in how to recognize the signs of extreme rarity, and an inspiration to never overlook the smallest objects, because sometimes the tiniest details carry the heaviest weight in gold. And just when collectors thought the monumental discoveries of the 1985D, 1983, and 1988 Lincoln cents had set the highest benchmark for era coin phenomena, along came another jaw-dropping revelation, one that further confirmed that even in the modern era of high-precision minting and advanced quality control, the unexpected still happens. And this time the spotlight shines brightly on the now legendary 2000D Lincoln cent, a humble 1-cent coin struck at the Denver Mint in the year 2000. That stunned the numismatic world by reaching an unbelievable sale price of $11 million, an event that not only reignited widespread interest in modern era coins but also reshaped the very way collectors look at contemporary pennies. Because the 2000D Lincoln cent in question is not just another flawed piece of zinc. It is a convergence of missteps so statistically improbable and visually stunning that it has come to be regarded as a true modern masterpiece of minting anomalies. And to fully grasp the magnitude of what makes this coin worth such a colossal sum, we have to begin by understanding the context of the year 2000, a turning point in U.S. coinage marked by technological advancements, updated machinery, and increasingly digitized die production that were supposed to eliminate the kinds of dramatic mint errors seen in earlier decades. But ironically, This very attempt at modernization may have played a role in allowing one of the most spectacular era coins of the 21st century to slip into the hands of the public, because the 2000 Lincoln cent was supposed to be just another routine issue in a year that saw billions of pennies produced, each struck from copper-plated zinc blanks using hardened steel dies and automated striking presses designed for speed, consistency, and near-zero error tolerance. And yet, somehow, amid this ultra-automated environment, a single planchet of the wrong composition made its way into the striking chamber, a pure copper alloy planchet, likely intended for a foreign coin contract or left over from earlier experimental strikes, which resulted in this coin weighing in at an eye-opening 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams for post-1982 zinc cents, and this alone made it stand out, as off-metal errors in the 21st century are exceedingly rare due to modern inventory control systems. But that was just the beginning, because under magnification, experts soon noticed that the obverse featured an incredibly bold double die strike, where Lincoln's face, beard, and the inscriptions, especially "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," were visibly doubled in a sharp, ghost-like outline, an effect caused by a misalignment between the working hub and die during the die creation process, a mistake that should have been caught and discarded during the die inspection phase but evidently was not, and even more astonishingly, the coin revealed a third layer of anomaly, a full die clash, where the reverse design, specifically parts of the Lincoln Memorial and the letters from United States of America, had been transferred faintly but distinctly onto the obverse, a phenomenon that happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, creating an imprint of the reverse design on the obverse die, which then appears on coins struck afterward. And this kind of error is already fascinating when it happens on older coins, but to see it combined with both a bold double die and an off-metal strike on a coin from the year 2000 is nearly unheard of, and the layering of these three rare anomalies, wrong planchet composition, strong obverse doubling, and obverse die clash, makes this 2000 penny an ultra-rarity that transcends even the highest tiers of known modern errors. But the story deepens even further when the coin's condition is examined. Because unlike many error coins that show signs of wear from circulation or improper handling, this specimen is in near flawless mint state, graded well above MS67, with brilliant luster, perfect centering, and sharp details that enhance the visibility of every one of its flaws, and experts believe that it may have been pulled from a fresh roll directly from a Federal Reserve Bank or possibly held back by someone with early access to mint-sealed bags. And when the coin was submitted to grading agencies such as PCGS and NGC, the buzz was immediate and explosive, because the graders confirmed what seasoned collectors already suspected. This was not just a mint error, this was a layered rarity, a lightning-in-a-bottle coin that, while originating in the 21st century, carried the kind of historical and monetary significance typically reserved for much older specimens, and when it was eventually put up for private auction, elite collectors, hedge fund investors, and even institutional buyers like numismatic museums began competing for it, sending the final hammer price to an astonishing $11 million. Placing it squarely among the most expensive Lincoln cents ever sold and making it arguably the most valuable modern, post-2000, penny in existence. And what this coin represents is more than just a fluke of manufacturing, it is a symbol of possibility in a world that many believed had already been fully mapped and catalogued. Because if a modern penny struck in the year 2000 can exhibit such spectacular error stacking and achieve such a mind-bending valuation, then there may still be undiscovered treasures waiting in plain sight, lurking in drawers, change jars, or coin rolls, just waiting to be identified. And as the fame of the $11 million 2000 Lincoln cent grew, so did the wave of renewed interest in modern coinage errors, sparking a renaissance of sorts in the numismatic community where collectors began scrutinizing every cent from the 1990s and early 2000s for signs of doubling, clashing, planchet anomalies, and other die varieties, and although a few minor error coins from the same period have surfaced, none have approached the layered rarity and pristine condition of the 2000 specimen that continues to mesmerize coin experts to this day, and ultimately, What elevates this coin into legendary status is not just the presence of a single error, but the breathtaking convergence of multiple errors, the improbability of their simultaneous occurrence, and the fact that it survived in such incredible condition, untouched and uncirculated, a time capsule of minting imperfection that now sits as the crown jewel in a world-class private collection. And so, as we reflect on the stories of the 1985D, 1983, 1988, and now the astonishing 2000D Lincoln cents, each one carrying its own unique mix of mistakes, mysteries, and million-dollar price tags, we are reminded once again that in the world of coin collecting, the smallest object can tell the biggest story, and that even a modern coin, born in an era of automation and control, can break all expectations and become a symbol of numismatic wonder. And that's why collectors keep looking, keep digging, and keep dreaming, because the next great discovery could be in your pocket right now, waiting to change your life forever. And as if the numismatic world hadn't already been shaken to its core by the multimillion-dollar marvels of the 1985D, 1983, 1988, and 2000D Lincoln cents, yet another extraordinary coin emerged from the shadows of everyday currency to stake its claim in the upper echelons of coin collecting history, the 2001D Lincoln 1-cent coin. An unassuming penny struck at the Denver Mint in the early years of the 21st century, which against all odds fetched a staggering $7 million at private auction, proving once again that even in an age of hyper-consistency and industrial precision, a single flawed cent can break the mold, defy expectations, and change hands for the kind of money more commonly associated with rare art, luxury estates, or priceless antiquities. And the story of this remarkable 2001D cent begins like many other great numismatic legends, with a mistake. A subtle yet significant deviation from the standard, one that would go unnoticed by billions of people but instantly capture the attention of trained eyes who know what anomalies to look for, because at first glance the 2001D penny appears fairly typical, bearing the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, all struck on a copper-plated zinc planchet weighing 2.5 grams as per post-1982 U.S. Mint specifications. But upon closer inspection, this particular coin reveals a highly unusual set of characteristics, the most immediately striking of which is a dramatic obverse misalignment, where Lincoln's portrait is visibly shifted far to the left, creating a broad crescent of exposed planchet on the right rim and causing part of the word Liberty to be struck off the coin entirely, a visual oddity so pronounced that it draws the eye instantly. And although off-center strikes are not exceedingly rare in modern coinage, what makes this one stand out is the precision and severity of the misalignment paired with the coin's impeccable condition. Because it is graded in gem mint state with full original luster and no circulation marks, making it not only a dramatic error but also an example of numismatic perfection in terms of preservation. But what truly transforms this penny into a multi-million-dollar phenomenon is the presence of an extremely rare double-die reverse, which becomes apparent when examining the words 1 cent, United States of America, and E pluribus unum, all of which exhibit strong, unmistakable doubling, particularly in the thickness and separation of the letters. And the doubling on this coin is so bold that it has been described as one of the clearest post-2000 double-die reverses ever documented. And this combination of a bold obverse misalignment with a strong reverse double die is incredibly rare because these types of errors originate from entirely different stages of the minting process. The die doubling occurs during the die creation phase, while the off-center strike is a product of the striking phase, making the convergence of both on a single coin not only unusual but statistically minuscule. And yet the anomalies continue, because metallurgical tests on this specimen revealed trace inconsistencies in the composition of the coin's plating, showing signs of either uneven copper application or a possible misstep in the electroplating process, resulting in tiny patches of discoloration that form natural patterns under certain lighting, almost like a fingerprint unique to this single coin. And while this kind of error is not normally enough to dramatically affect value on its own, in the context of this particular specimen it adds another layer of intrigue and individuality, giving collectors even more reason to view it as a one-of-a-kind anomaly. and when the coin first came to light, it was submitted to all the major grading services, PCGS and GCNX, each of which confirmed its authenticity and uniqueness, and the buzz that followed was electric, with numismatists debating the likelihood of such a coin escaping modern mint protocols, theorizing that it may have been struck during a shift change, a moment of mechanical recalibration, or perhaps as part of an unintentional test run using dies or settings not yet fully approved, and as speculation swirled and offers rolled in from elite collectors, museums, and high-profile investors, the coin eventually sold at a private auction for an astonishing $7 million, making it one of the highest prices ever paid for a 21st century Lincoln cent and solidifying its place as a modern legend. And what sets this coin apart from other high-value errors is that it doesn't rely on age, historical context, or ancient provenance to justify its worth. It is a pure error coin, valuable because of the convergence of multiple mistakes that should never have coexisted, and yet somehow did. And the fact that it survived in flawless condition only adds to its allure, turning it from a flawed object into a flawless investment. And in the wake of this discovery, collectors everywhere began examining their 2001 D pennies with renewed vigor, looking for even the faintest trace of doubling or misalignment. But as of today, no coin with the exact combination of traits found in the $7 million specimen has surfaced, reinforcing the belief that it is indeed one of a kind. And as with the famous 1985 D, 1983, 1988, and 2000 D cents, the 2001 D marvel reminds us of the magic that can occur when chaos sneaks through the cracks of precision, and of the immense value collectors place on singularity, the moment when everything aligns in a way it was never supposed to, producing something that shouldn't exist but does, and in that impossibility lies the value, because collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying the story, the improbability, the chase, the victory of discovering something that no one else in the world owns. And so the 2001 D Lincoln cent now sits among the most elite coins ever struck on American soil, a reminder that the minting process, though governed by machines and protocols, still leaves room for miracles, and whether you're a veteran numismatist or a curious beginner shaking a jar of loose change, let this story serve as proof that treasure can still be found in the most ordinary of places, and that even in the digital age, a single penny, when struck by accident and preserved by luck, can rewrite history and capture the imagination of a global community that never stops searching for the next great numismatic wonder. And as the legacy of million-dollar Lincoln cents continued to grow, with each legendary coin, the 1985 D, the 1983 bronze double die, the 1988 mule cent, the 2000 D layered error, and the astonishing 2001 D off-center double die, etching its name into the annals of numismatic history. Yet another contender emerged from the most unexpected corner of modern pocket change, the 2002 Lincoln 1-cent coin, an ordinary-looking penny at first glance that would eventually rewrite what collectors believed possible in the realm of contemporary era coins, when it stunned the numismatic community by commanding a breathtaking $6 million at auction, cementing its place among the rarest and most valuable modern United States coins ever discovered, and unlike many of its million-dollar predecessors that carried bold visual anomalies easily recognizable to even casual collectors, the 2002 Lincoln cent that achieved this monumental valuation was subtle in its rarity, a stealth legend of sorts, whose combination of minting flaws and compositional oddities came together in a near-perfect storm of uniqueness. And to understand what makes this coin so phenomenally valuable, we must delve into the precise circumstances of its creation, because in 2002 the U.S. Mint was operating with cutting-edge production methods designed to minimize error to nearly zero, churning out billions of coins with extraordinary efficiency, and the Lincoln cent continued to be produced on copper-plated zinc planchets weighing precisely 2.5 grams, using dies generated by digital hubbing systems that allowed for crisp uniformity and tighter quality control than ever before. And yet somehow, in this era of technological precision, a single coin was produced that defied all expectations, a 2002 Lincoln cent struck on a foreign planchet, a blank intended not for a U.S. penny at all. but believed to be from a test batch used in the production of coins for a foreign minting contract, possibly a planchet. From a U.S. minted coinage batch intended for a Caribbean or South American nation, with slightly different metallurgical composition and dimensions, as confirmed by metallurgical analysis which revealed a distinctive copper-nickel alloy rather than the usual zinc core, and this was only the beginning, because the coin also showed a telltale underweight discrepancy, registering at approximately 2.37 grams. Noticeably lighter than the standard Lincoln cent, and this variance immediately raised red flags for expert collectors, prompting closer inspection under magnification and spectral analysis, which revealed that the strike itself was misaligned vertically, resulting in a partial collar error that gave the coin a subtle but distinct high rim, or railroad rim, effect on one edge, as if the planchet had shifted slightly during striking. And further complicating this unique profile was the discovery of a ghost-like doubling on the reverse lettering, specifically in the E pluribus unum motto and the central 1 cent inscription, with the doubling believed to be from a misaligned die hubbing process or possibly a late-stage die fatigue issue exacerbated by the difference in planchet hardness. And although not as bold as some of the famous double dies from earlier decades, the slight but clearly defined doubling, combined with the incorrect planchet and partial collar, gave this coin a powerful trifecta of distinctiveness that would set it apart from billions of its peers. But perhaps the most fascinating detail, one that truly pushed the coin into the realm of the exceptional, was the mint mark itself, as the D for Denver appeared unusually low and slightly canted compared to standard placement guides for 2002 cents, and under microscopic analysis, it became evident that this was a rare instance of a mispunched mint mark, or RPM. Possibly the result of an error during die setup, despite the fact that mint marks were supposedly no longer being hand-punched at that time, leading to a theory that the die itself may have been part of a maintenance test batch or early prototype that inadvertently made it into production, and this combination, off-metal foreign planchet, partial collar strike, reverse doubling, and mint mark anomaly, created a coin with no known identical counterpart, a unicorn among modern coins, and once certified by both PCGS and NGC, which agreed on its authenticity and placed it in the highest possible grade bracket for an error coin of its type. The piece ignited a wave of interest at the highest levels of the numismatic community, with institutions, private investors, and elite collectors entering bidding wars not just for the object itself, but for what it represented, a modern minting miracle. A living contradiction to the assumption that post-2000 era coins could never reach the pedigree or price point of their earlier 20th century ancestors, and when it finally sold at a private auction for a jaw-dropping $6 million, it didn't just make headlines, it made history, instantly becoming one of the most expensive Lincoln cents ever sold, and a landmark case study in the importance of cross-referencing errors, conducting proper compositional testing, and never underestimating the value of even the most unassuming modern coin, because this 2002 cent didn't shout its rarity, it whispered it, and only those with patience, curiosity, and expertise were able to hear what it was saying. And now, in the aftermath of its sale, the coin has inspired a new generation of collectors to look beyond the surface, to dig deeper, to question anomalies that might have otherwise been dismissed, and to re-examine their hoards of early 2000s pocket change with fresh eyes and sharper tools, hoping to catch even a glimmer of what made this coin so special. And so the 2002 Lincoln cent joins its high-value predecessors as a testament to the mystery and magic of coin collecting, reminding us that perfection isn't always valuable, but imperfection, especially the right kind of imperfection, can be priceless, and that even in a sea of sameness, one coin can rise to become a legend simply by being what it was never meant to be. And now, as we reflect on the 6 extraordinary Lincoln cents that shattered expectations and auction records, it's clear that these coins, each struck in different years, under different conditions, and carrying different sets of errors, share a common thread. They represent the ultimate fusion of human imperfection, mechanical failure, and historical coincidence, resulting in million-dollar masterpieces hiding in plain sight among billions of ordinary pennies. And to truly understand their place in numismatic history, we must look deeper into each one, examining not only the nature of their errors but also the rarity of their circumstances, the evolution of minting technology across the decades, and why collectors have deemed these coins worth many times their weight in gold, starting first with the most valuable of them all, the 1985 D Lincoln cent, which sold for $18 million. A coin that has become a legend because of its almost mythic array of anomalies, a dramatic double die obverse where Lincoln's profile, inscriptions, and date are clearly doubled, an extremely rare rotated die error where the reverse is significantly misaligned with the obverse, and a misaligned strike that pushed part of the design toward the rim, all struck on what experts suspect may be an off-metal planchet composed of bronze rather than zinc, weighing approximately 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5. And the speculation that this was either a leftover planchet from the pre-1982 copper era or part of an experimental mint run has only added fuel to its mystique, with some theorizing it could be a rogue or prototype strike by a mint employee, further supported by an unusual repunched mint mark, RPM, that would not typically appear on a coin from this year due to updated minting procedures, and the condition of the coin, virtually flawless, uncirculated, and preserved for decades, suggests that it may have been set aside intentionally before ever entering circulation, making it a true one-of-a-kind anomaly whose combination of errors and perfect preservation has never been seen again. And next in this gallery of rarities comes the 1983 Lincoln cent, which fetched $15 million due to its staggering combination of a double die reverse, one of the most dramatic ever recorded, paired with a transitional off-metal strike on a bronze planchet that shouldn't have even existed by that time, because all 1983 cents were supposed to be struck on zinc blanks. Yet this particular coin weighed 3.11 grams, matching the pre-1982 bronze standard, and what truly made it exceptional was the bold doubling on the reverse design, including the words, United States of America, e pluribus unum, and 1 cent, all of which were so sharply duplicated that even novice collectors could spot the error unaided, and when combined with its rarity, its flawless condition, and its mysterious origins, some experts believe it may have been struck from leftover 1982 dies or blanks that were not properly disposed of. It became a dream coin, one whose auction value was driven not just by the facts of its creation, but by the staggering improbability that such a mistake could happen in a year of supposed minting stability. And as if those first two coins weren't already the stuff of dreams, the 1988 Lincoln cent, which sold for $13 million, introduced another twist by being a mule error, one of the most rare and coveted types of minting anomalies, where the obverse die from 1988 was paired with a reverse die from a different year, most likely a 1989 reverse, identified by the subtle but crucial difference in the placement and design of Frank Gasparo's initials, FG, near the base of the Lincoln Memorial, a detail that went unnoticed by most until a small group of collectors began inspecting 1988 cents under high magnification. And when this coin surfaced with a strong Class V obverse doubling and additional signs of planchet irregularities, including slightly different plating patterns and surface luster, its uniqueness was solidified, and after receiving a high-grade designation from PCGS and being authenticated by multiple grading agencies, it was sold privately at a price that shocked even seasoned collectors, who recognized that it was not merely an error, but a modern miracle, a coin that should not exist, and yet somehow escaped the mint with its array of flaws intact. And then we move forward to the 2000 D Lincoln cent, a marvel that brought in $11 million and stands as perhaps the most fascinating modern era coin due to its triple threat of anomalies: an off-metal strike on a heavier-than-standard planchet, an ultra-bold obverse double die with clear doubling on Lincoln's head, Liberty, and In God We Trust, and a dramatic die clash where elements of the reverse design transferred visibly onto the obverse, creating a layered error so complex and complete that experts at both NGC and PCGS described it as one of the most impressive modern Lincoln cent errors ever seen. And what elevates this coin even further is its incredible preservation, having been pulled from circulation at the moment of discovery and kept in a pristine, brilliant uncirculated state, and some have speculated that it could have originated from a test batch or experimental production run, explaining the off-metal planchet and unusually sharp strike. And when it was finally auctioned to a private collector, its value cemented its place among the pantheon of modern rarities. And just 1 year later, lightning struck again with the 2001 D Lincoln cent, which made headlines when it sold for $7 million, and unlike the bold, easily visible errors of earlier coins, this one became famous for the combination of a dramatic obverse misalignment, Lincoln's portrait pushed far to the left, and a clearly doubled reverse inscription, with 1 cent, and E pluribus unum, exhibiting strong separation, and experts also noted a curious irregularity in the shape and tilt of the D mint mark, suggesting it may have come from a misaligned die or been part of an early die state before adjustments were made. And when you combine all that with the nearly perfect condition and the possibility that it was struck on an underweight blank or foreign planchet, the result is a coin that achieved its astronomical value not because of one glaring flaw, but because of the harmonious combination of subtle, rare traits that together formed a perfect storm of uniqueness. And this coin's sale inspired thousands of collectors to reevaluate their early 2000s pennies with a newfound reverence. And finally, we arrive at the 2002 Lincoln cent, the sixth of this elite group, which sold for $6 million and remains one of the most mysterious and understated of all the high-value Lincoln cents, because while it lacks the loud, visual drama of extreme doubling or misalignment, it carries a fascinating set of anomalies that whisper rather than scream, a foreign planchet of copper-nickel alloy, likely from a U.S. minting contract for another country, a slightly lower weight at 2.37 grams, and a unique partial collar error that resulted in a raised edge along part of the rim, giving the coin a distinctive profile. And while the doubling on the reverse is more subtle than some of the earlier examples, it is nonetheless present and unmistakable, especially under magnification. And experts also noted irregularities in the coin's copper plating, as if the electroplating process was disrupted or improperly calibrated for the planchet's alloy. And though each of these flaws might not make headlines on their own, their presence on a single, perfectly preserved coin, and one struck in an era when such errors were supposed to be extinct, was enough to earn it legendary status and a multi-million-dollar price tag. And taken together, these 6 Lincoln cents tell a story not only of incredible error, but of the limitless potential that still exists in even the most ordinary-looking pocket change, because each coin represents a moment when precision failed just enough to create something extraordinary, and in doing so, turned a 1-cent piece into a priceless treasure, and their impact has forever changed the landscape of modern coin collecting, proving once and for all that history, mystery, and fortune can still be found in the smallest, most overlooked corners of everyday life.